He creates solutions for the toughest challenges. We need a city attorney to be a problem solver who will take strong action on behalf of the people of Los Angeles. He is the embodiment of true leadership. Kevin James for Los Angeles City Attorney 2022. Kevin, what was your previous experience and what is your current experience as an elected official or appointed official?
Well, both are kind of previous experiences. My first appointed position was as an assistant United States attorney here in the Central District of California here in Los Angeles. That's the federal prosecutor's office downtown. But more appropriately to the city attorney's race, I just finished 7 years as the president of the Board of Public Works in the city of Los Angeles. So that made me the head of the second largest department in the city of Los Angeles. Very important department because it's the infrastructure department, if you will. It's the department that owns the public right-of-way and provides constituent city services throughout Los Angeles.
Thank you. And Kevin, what exactly inspired you to run for political office?
Well, for this political office, Archelaus, I've been a lawyer in Los Angeles since 1988, and it's the office of city attorney. And from my role in public works, I quickly realized that when it comes to critical issues in the city, like the homelessness crisis, the city attorney's office is the most important office on the ballot in 2022 for a couple of reasons. Number one, because the city attorney's office is the only elected office in the city of Los Angeles that has the charter authorization to be the liaison, the connection to the courts. And so many of the issues around our homelessness crisis and other major issues lately have been decided in the courts. So I thought that that was the best place for me, given my extensive experience both in municipal government and as a lawyer, where I can make the most difference in really achieving what will be a regional solution to the homelessness crisis, which we just haven't had in Los Angeles really ever.
Great. Kevin, what are the most critical issues in your community and how would you address them if you were to win?
Archelaus, that's a great question. Let me talk about 4 of them. First, of course, homelessness, as I mentioned a moment ago. Secondly, public safety, very important in every community. And third, economic development. Businesses, particularly small businesses, need to be able to thrive again in Los Angeles. And fourth, corruption. It's very important that our elected officials and appointed officials be trusted by the community. So on homelessness, as I mentioned, creating a regional solution to the problem will be the top priority for me. On public safety, it's very important that our law enforcement not feel like they have to look the other way when lower level offenses are committed. It's very important for the city attorney's office. We have jurisdiction over misdemeanors in the city of Los Angeles, which are lower level crimes, but they're still very important, of course, because sometimes they can lead to higher level crimes. And it is an opportunity when people come into the justice system for us to have the opportunity to help them. So it's very important that we know about crimes that are happening in our community. So my partnership with the Los Angeles Police Department and other law enforcement agencies is to make sure that they let our office know about everything happening in our communities that they think we should know about. We're never going to tell them to look the other way. On economic development, it simply has to get easier to work not only in the city of Los Angeles, but with the city of Los Angeles. I know it sounds a cliche sometimes, or you hear it a lot when we talk about cutting red tape, but what I talk about is because of my experience at a large department in the city working with the city attorney's office, I'll be a partner with all of the city department heads to streamline many of the processes and the approvals that businesses have to operate in the city. So it will make it easier for them, and that makes it less costly for them too, because they save time and they can open their businesses earlier, or they can make improvements to their businesses faster. Also, public corruption. We simply have to be able to trust our public officials. We have to restore trust in City Hall. I'm a former assistant U.S. attorney, as I mentioned earlier. One of the things I will do is create 2 things. One, an anti-corruption task force that will bring partners from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the District Attorney's Office, the State Attorney General's Office, our Controller's Office, our Ethics Department, and some people from academia, together as an independent task force to review the work from an independent position of the work that's happening in the city. And it also provides an entry point for people that may have seen something that they think might be illegal that they want to alert people about. The second part is what I call an anti-corruption institute. And that's to have these great law enforcement partners from the prosecutor offices, as well as partnerships with public defender offices as well, to come in and train our leadership and our officials in city government on things to look for that can result in corruption.
Thank you. Kevin, have you ever heard complaints from businesses?
Oh yes, absolutely. A lot of them. I hear it all the time. And it's one of the reasons that I really wanted to create this entry point for businesses that might need assistance from the city attorney's office. So that's why I have a number of specialized units that we'll create in the city attorney's office to help all kinds of people that might need our assistance, but particularly businesses. They need to be included in ways to help manage the city hall process. And so we'll have what will be an economic development and permit policy review unit to help businesses out. And so it's something that businesses really like to hear about, that opportunity coming up if I happen to win the election.
What's impressive, you believe that actions speak louder than words.
Actions definitely speak louder than words. It's part of what I base my whole campaign on.
Kevin, everybody is interested in public safety. How would you approach funding the police?
Such a critical question. Yes, everyone is interested in public safety, and there's been this term, this defund the police movement that has existed not only in Los Angeles but around our country. I think that's completely the wrong direction to go for ensuring public safety throughout Los Angeles. And when you look at the most significant costs for law enforcement, first of all, it's obviously personnel. So you have to pay your personnel. That's your number one cost. But the other things, even for reform measures and improvements that you want to do with police departments, obviously training. You want the best trained police force that you could possibly have. Every city wants that. Equipment. You want state-of-the-art equipment, because state-of-the-art equipment and technologically advanced equipment is something that will help with accountability kind of on both sides of the issue. And data. The most up-to-date data on what is happening where in communities. All three of those things, technology, equipment, data, and training, those all cost money. And when you want the best training and the best equipment and the best data, you have to pay for it. There's no other way to get it. So that results in an increase in the police budget on top of what you're spending on personnel. So it doesn't mean that because you're increasing the police budget that you're taking one political position or another. What it signifies when you increase the police budget for equipment and for training and for data and technology, it shows that you're working with the police department to improve their relationship with the community, to improve the work that they do, and to make them more responsible and responsive to everyone in the community.
Kevin, on that note, I know that in the 21st century, technology comes first. How would that be important, and how would that help in law enforcement?
Oh, so many ways, Arshila. Let me talk about the way that most people are familiar with. Body-worn cameras. That does a couple things. It protects both sides of the incident. It protects people that are involved in the incident, that are being approached by law enforcement, and it also protects the law enforcement officer as well. And it allows the police department and our office, the city attorney's office, to have lots of data and information that is taken and obtained from those videos to ensure justice, to ensure fairness, and to ensure honesty and accountability. That's the most notable way that most people are familiar with. But with other parts of technology, there are so many things that are available with tools that can be used for de-escalation purposes, tools and new technology that can be used that are safer when you have an altercation with a suspect rather than more lethal or harmful deadly force. So there are all kinds of new technologies that are available that, once again, they do cost money, and so it does come with funding the police department.
Kevin, our viewers would love to know what is your relationship with the Armenian American community, your plans on strengthening the relationship, and of course collaboration? That's
a perfect question. My relationship with the Armenian American community really started when I first moved to Los Angeles in my adult years because of so many friends that I had in the practice of law and colleagues in my community and people that I worked with through the U.S. Attorney's Office and all of these years being a part of the fabric of Los Angeles. And then when I landed in city government, the relationship really expanded. I had the opportunity to work with leaders in the Armenian American community at all different levels, from inside government, outside government, small businesses, private sector. I mean, it really had a kind of a wide range of work that we did together: infrastructure projects, small businesses on economic development issues. I even had the chance to work with the ARPA Film Festival. Yes, because I had the role of the director of the Mayor's Office of Film and Television Production. So it was great to be helpful there. And then also, we even stepped into international affairs. I spent some time as the chief of legislative affairs for the city, in the city of Los Angeles. And you might remember, of course, everyone does, in 2020, we stepped in from a mayor's office to denounce the actions of Azerbaijan and Turkey in connection with the inciting violence in the Artsakh region in 2020. And that was an important international message coming from us here in the city of Los Angeles. We have always had such a close familial relationship, if you will, with the Armenian American community. And so the relationship really has kind of run from international affairs to civic and local issues. So and it's always been just a warm, close friendship, and I look forward to continuing that. I'll tell you one thing: in the city attorney's office, and we have Armenian Americans that work in the city attorney's office now. Clearly, when I have the opportunity, I'm going to grow that relationship and ensure that our city attorney's office really reflects the diverse fabric of the city of Los Angeles. At Public Works, it's a department that I was head of, over 5,000 employees. And it was the most diverse department in the city in two different ways. One, in just the diversity of the personnel. But two, also diverse in the scope of work, because we had people from 5 different departments that make up Public Works, from sanitation and from engineering and street lighting, and the public right-of-way issues were film issues, and our Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety Office. So you can imagine the diverse opportunities that exist there.
What's amazing is that trust and respect is mutual.
Mutual, it has to be. It has to be. Trust and respect, but I also like to talk about fair opportunity for advancement. That's very important for the city attorney's office. Obviously, it's something that was important to us at Public Works for everyone. And of course, Arshulus, I will continue going to the amazing Armenian American community events. Whether it's they're in Glendale, which I spend plenty of time with the Armenian American community in Glendale, in the San Fernando Valley, in Los Angeles. There have been great events around the city of Los Angeles. I love getting invitations. I also know, coming from the city, that I could always just walk in uninvited when I heard about a great event that was happening too. And so whether we're marching together in the streets or whether we're visiting with the consulate, there are so many opportunities to spend time together. And I really look forward to that going forward as well.
Kevin, and one more question, if I may. How would you use your position as a city attorney to resolve homelessness in Los Angeles?
Well, it really is the top issue on everyone's mind for this election, 2022, because it's been a problem in our city for so long, and we really do have everyone's attention on that issue now in ways we didn't some years ago. I think it's the most important office to be able to solve the crisis from a regional perspective. And what I mean by that is, one, the city of Los Angeles can't solve the region's homelessness crisis alone. And when you see the encampment increase in the city of Los Angeles, sometimes you see it in Glendale, other cities as well. But what we're not having, and what we haven't had, is a better partnership among all of the 88 cities in LA County. And part of the reason is the largest city in LA County, which is the city of Los Angeles at about 38% or so, has in the past settled the lawsuits that have been brought against it regarding our public spaces, our public right-of-way. And when the city of Los Angeles settles the case and doesn't seek a court ruling, then we have a different standard. We have all these different standards for managing our public right-of-way. LA has a standard, Glendale has a standard, Burbank has a standard, Redondo Beach has a standard. Everyone has a different standard. The way to solve the problem regionally is to get one uniform legal standard. And the way to do that is, instead of settling the lawsuit, which takes the case out of the court, the city attorney, the only elected official that has the direct authority as a liaison to the courts, can actually take the case to court and get a court ruling. When you have a court ruling, the court ruling applies to all of the cities in LA County. That's the one legal standard you need. Not to get too much into the weeds on this, but we have kind of two areas of concern in the homelessness crisis. You have the area of what do we do with the people, the person that needs to be in the public right-of-way because they don't have a home, and what about their personal property that they have with them? Well, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has already made a decision about the people in the public right-of-way. It was called Martin v. City of Boise from Boise, Idaho. And what the Ninth Circuit Court said in that case, because they didn't settle the case, they took it to court and got a ruling. And what the court said is, before a city can require someone to move off of the sidewalk, you have to first make a reasonable offer of shelter to that person. So if you have somewhere that you can help them go, then you can make them according to the Boise case. But they didn't make that decision at all regarding personal property in the public right-of-way that can obstruct the public right-of-way. So that's what the city attorney's office can do. But to get a uniform legal standard, we have to go to the court to get it, rather than constantly settling the lawsuits. And that I will do. Now, one thing to alleviate concern of people, because they think, oh, if you're going to go to court, it's just going to be so much more, many more cases. Actually, it's the opposite, I believe. We saw that with Boise. Once the Ninth Circuit finally ruled, there haven't been any other cases on the same rule that the Ninth Circuit finished. But we don't have the Ninth Circuit ruling on the personal property in the street and on the sidewalk. That's the work that needs to be done now. And once we get that ruling, we can put that issue to bed too. And every city will be rowing in the same direction, and we can be partners, and we can all step in to the process of providing the solutions to homelessness that we need.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much, Archelaus. Thank you.
The elections coming up are very important. Not just, obviously, Glendale has important elections, but our larger neighbor next to us, Los Angeles, which is the second largest city in the country in terms of population, and probably the highest concentration of Armenians living anywhere outside of the former Soviet Union, has a major role to play in the city of Los Angeles elections. One of the seats that's up for election is the seat of city attorney, and I think that Kevin James is the best candidate for that post because he has experience. He's been working at City Hall. He's someone who sees what the city's weaknesses are as well as what its strengths can be. And I have all the confidence that if he's elected Los Angeles' next city attorney, not only will he have a good, strong working relationship with officials here in Glendale like myself, but he's promised to work very closely with the Armenian community, to continue to work closely with Armenians, both in his office and in City Hall and wherever they may be. Շատ անգամ ընտրություններ են տեղի ունենում եւ տեխնատուները մեզի անծանոթ են եւ ընդհանրապես եթե մենք չենք շփվել շատ քաղաքական դեմքերի հետ, որ գիտեմ հասկանում եմ շատերը չեն անում, որտեղ զբաղված են ընտանեկան կյանքով, գործով, ես փորձում եմ ձեզի վստահեցնել, որ իբրև մեկը որ շփվել է քաղաքական այդ ասպարազներում եւ մարդկանց հետ, Kevin James-ը շատ լավ անձնավորություն է, խելացի մեկն է եւ կարող է այս աշխատանքը իբրև Los Angeles-ի հաջորդ դատախազը կամ city attorney-ին այդ աշխատանքը անել ոչ միայն փայլուն ձևի, բայց նոր դռներ բացելով մեր համայնքի երիտասարդների համար, գիտեմ որ շատերը ունեն զավակներ, որ իրավաբանություն են սովորում, այդ փորձառությունը իրենք կարող են մշակեն այդ գրասենյակում եւ ես պիտի շարունակեմ աշխատել այդ նպատակին, որ պարոն Ջեյմսի հետ մենք կարողանանք դռներ բացել մեր բոլոր համայնքի երիտասարդների համար.
As city attorney in my first term, I'll bring a regional solution to homelessness, which we haven't had over the years. I will also help restore trust in City Hall, and we'll be able to make our neighborhoods cleaner and safer, like they should be for every community in our great city.
Կատարեք ձեր ընտրությունը։ Հունիսի 7-ին ձեր ձայնը տվեք Kevin James-ին. Kevin James for Los Angeles City Attorney 2022.
For advertising on Inside TV, please call 818-653-0199.